Capcom is no stranger to all the issues that they've been having in games over the past, what, let's say 10, maybe 15 years. You go all the way back to the whole DLC issue on Street Fighter Cross Tekken, even with the Resident Evil 5 stuff that was on disc. I think that stuff was on disc. I can't remember. But you had that, you had those type of issues going on. Street Fighter 5 had not a good launch, but it ended up redeeming itself. Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. I mean, the list goes on with the problems that Capcom had in the early 2010s. And for the most part, they redeemed themselves with Resident Evil 7, Village, the remakes of Resident Evil, Street Fighter 6. They've been on a roll as of the last, maybe 5 to 8 years, especially after what happened in the early 2010s. Capcom, why did you let Dragon Dogma 2 happen the way it happened? Listen, I became a fan of the first one. I found it at one of the retro game stores on the PS3. I wanted to try it out because I wanted to get into a little bit of RPGs, and I fell in love with the game, played a good bit of it on PS3. Then I saw it on sale on PC, and I bought it on PC, played a little bit of that, not much, but I played most of it on PS3. Like, if you're looking on the screen, he only played 3 hours on the PC version of the first one. You'll see it down here if you're looking at the Steam page. But nevertheless, I played a good bit of this game, and I was looking forward to the second one. And I was going to wait till the weekend, to buy it. Now, it is now Sunday the 24th. I spent some time with the family or whatever. And I finally got around to looking at the game. I've heard some rumblings about some performance issues. Okay, cool. I can deal with that. But the problem is the performance issues are bad on high-end PCs. Like, the game is not optimized due to an issue that developers made where all the NPCs in the world are, I think they're rendered by the CPU. So if you have a good bit of, people or NPCs on the screen, it's going to hinder the game. So that's an issue that I can't overcome on my PC. On top of that, the microtransactions, like, whoa, what are y'all thinking? Why did this have to happen this way? You look at this right here. Look at all these microtransactions. Now, don't get me wrong. There's worse. Go to Dead or Alive 5 or 6 and you will see what I'm talking about when it comes to microtransactions. I mean, you're talking about over $1,000 worth of microtransactions in those games alone. But what I'm saying here is a lot of this stuff here, even though it can be purchased in game, a lot of this stuff can happen in game. Some of this stuff is just a bad look, especially based on the way the first game was released. And what you're putting out here is to move around and fast travel and restore life and all this other stuff. You're putting it behind a paywall, and albeit I'm not necessarily against microtransactions. You can do what you want, but it's up to me to pay for it. And I won't pay for stuff like this. It's just something I won't do. But nevertheless, what you have here is a game that did not have this type of issue in the beginning, and people were so hyped because the game and the gameplay is so good. Is like you're putting a bad stain on a great game, albeit if it's not necessarily predatory, not necessarily if it's a pay to win aspect. And some people are trying to say it is, but I mean, it's a single player game. What is this? What is this? On top of the problems with the performance, you got this going on. I feel like that Dragon Dogma 2 is going to be a great experience for me. I haven't purchased it yet, but based on what I've seen, I was kind of hesitant because I was going to buy this game day one. I just never got around to it until the fact that I've heard what's going on now. Now, another thing, this is another reason why I don't purchase games early. I've stopped with all the pre-orders. The last game I pre-ordered that I felt like I was burned on was Gran Turismo 7, which I'm not going to get into that game because lately, honestly, I feel like I've been getting a pretty good experience out of that game. I played a good bit of it last night. And but the way that game came off, I felt like I didn't get my money's worth at first, but slowly but surely, I still feel like I'm getting had, but I am having fun. It's not like what they did with Gran Turismo Sport, which I don't want to go down the rabbit hole because you know the story of that. But nevertheless, I feel like that these companies, they need to continue to stay in good graces with people by basically listening to it, listening to your consumer and knowing what works. Look at your data. Does the data says that this was okay? Maybe it did. And if that's cool, that's fine. But I highly doubt it in this day and age that that was the case. And I'm not saying like the microtransactions is not necessarily that, expensive. I mean, it's $41 worth. But when you look at each one, $2 here, $3 there, $1 there, yeah, they nickel and dime you a little bit. But the performance thing is unacceptable. That's something that they're going to have to fix. And I haven't even talked about the save feature, or not necessarily save, but creating more than one character. Now that right, I don't understand why that's not why that was taken out, or that never was a thing in to begin with. All RPGs should give you the option to make more than one character, just because of the fact that most RPGs have a lot of diversity in it. And I'm talking about like the real diversity, not the push diversity that's out here nowadays, or the perceived diversity that's out here nowadays. But what I'm saying is, this game has all the potential to be great, and I think it will be. I think they're going to patch the performance stuff. They're going to fix a few things. I don't think the DLC and the microtransactions necessarily going away. I think they're just going to sit there. But this game itself can stand on its own with good merit. This game doesn't need all of this. The game itself is a great game. I already know it because of the first Dragon Dogma. I mean, that was a phenomenal game. And I have no doubt in my mind that it's not that bad based on what people have said. And I just knew that, there are just some games that off the rip that's going to be a good game gameplay wise. I mean, it's just what it is. And this is one of the games that are like that. Unfortunately, is hindered by a bunch of stuff that's really, it's really disheartening. It's really disappointing because this game did not need that. Now, at the end of the day, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wait for the game to go on sale. I mean, that's just basically what I'm going to do. That's what I did for the PC version of the last game, but albeit that game was out for like 10 years, but nevertheless, I'm probably going to wait for a sale to get this, because I just, by the time the sale comes, the performance issues will probably be resolved more than likely. And the microtransactions is just, it is what it is. It's a bad stain, but it is what it is. I mean, a lot of these games do this, or whatever the case may be. But and is it profitable for them? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I will say this before I get out of here. And I know this is very unpopular, and it goes back to what I've been saying in the last few videos, so it may sound redundant. DLC, no, I ain't gonna say DLC, I'll say microtransactions are best used, or I've got the best value out of microtransactions in racing games. And I know I've been touting racing games for the past couple of weeks. I may go into a big in-depth reason of that one day, but that's the best way that I've seen microtransactions work. You get a certain car. Some of these cars are slightly expensive, some of them not, but whatever car you get in your DLC pack, or I'll say microtransaction pack, for the most part you're getting your money's worth, because all these cars have different variations or different mechanics that actually feel like you're driving, or you're operating something different. A lot of this stuff that's out now that are microtransactions are stuff that probably should have been in game, or is stuff that they create a problem and they try to sell you the fix. That's one of the problems with that. Now, I do get it. Some cars should be in a racing game. Next, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I need to get out of here. I was speaking too much. But some of these cars are license based. So I kind of get why some of that stuff happens. But nevertheless, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much longer. I think that Capcom, they should not have let this happen. Dragon's Dogma, is a pretty good, the first one is a pretty good game. I have no doubt in my mind that this second one is just as good as well, if not better, but they really need to fix the issues that they have in this game, because this probably hindered them from being possibly the game of 2024. And that's just my opinion, and I'm going to get up out of here. I'll see you guys on the next one. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out. Peace.